Jesus, this is the most wonderful time of the year as we have game upon game upon game. The jerseys don't even have grass stains on them yet. And speaking of which, I am stained right now on my sweatpants. That's how excited I am for week 1 of NFL action.
That's right. If you haven't gone to the restroom, it's too late because we are live for the next hour breaking down what's going on in the NFL to help you make the best decisions for the big day in football. We've got the first NFL Sunday of the season. Kevin, big show ahead of us. We got a few friends joining us as well as Kenny Betts Big. Katie Mox will be there. To be quite honest, Kevin, this is the first time you and I are working together, but I feel like this is magic waiting to happen, right?
Well, we decided to start the pregame yesterday. We met up, we had some beers, we had some wings, we had some fries. I already kind of question your ability to make any sort of wise decisions based on the fact that you opted for the mimosa in a can as your drink of choice, which was questionable. I was embarrassed to have to go up and order that, and I made it very clear. The beer's for me, and the mimosa in the can is for that woman over there. But yes, we will not hold that against you because, as you know, you're an insider. You go deep. You've got roots in the NFL. You know these players. You know the coaches. You know the storylines behind the story. I, on the other hand, I'm a degenerate. I listen to people in line at Costco behind me, in front of me. I listen to people in public bathrooms, and I'm very excited to share with you the inside information I have. Or as you can find me on the socials, Kevin Betts Stupid. So.
That's right. I'm just trying to do the rosé thing. Sean McVay seems to be working well with that, so I went mimosa, although I appreciate you at least serving me an alcoholic beverage for that matter. So let's kick things off with 2-minute drill and go over what's going on in the NFL. We got a few storylines that are going to affect the day ahead. I'm excited for some big matchups week 1. These are the games I have my eye on. Kevin, want to throw out Steelers at Buffalo. The Bills are a very super trendy Super Bowl pick. To me, the Steelers are a bit unpredictable. I believe the home crowd could be key. Josh Allen got paid, and Big Ben is on the TB12 diet.
Well, you know, both of us went to school in upstate New York. We know how the fandom is there. Buffalo fans, you know, they're so used to having their heart broken for so long. They're used to, in many ways, they were like one of the original punching bags of the NFL. And now that they've got something to get excited about, you're hearing a lot of it. You're seeing a lot of these people that were, walking around head held low, kind of a constant walk of shame, are now very proud and very loud. And I think as a result, you've got other people that are, thinking, do I throw some money around? A lot of gamblers today, especially people that are not in the know, they're kind of going with like, what am I feeling like I'm hearing a lot of? And Buffalo is a chatter team, right? There's a lot of chatter about Buffalo. So I can't wait to find out what our professional cappers say when they hop on with us. I know I was in line yesterday, and I pulled a rookie move because yesterday I went to both Best Buy and Costco, 2 places I've always said I'll never go to before kickoff because they're jam-packed lines. But everyone, I heard a guy in front of me, big guy, about 350 pounds, probably purchasing 20 to 40 pounds of cheese, and he was wearing Buffalo jersey, Buffalo tattoo, and he was saying to the guy, he's like, this is Buffalo's year. Everyone says the Chiefs are going to go undefeated, but I got news for you. Buffalo wins every single game this season. And at that moment, I said, that guy is a big fat idiot.
Well, all I heard was cheese from that, and so I'm going to move on to Packers and Saints. They're playing in Jacksonville. Obviously, with all the offseason drama with Aaron Rodgers, I think this is more of a management issue. This guy plays for his team. He's an MVP. But I think that it's kind of interesting. There's no home field advantage for Sean Payton and the Saints.
Nope. And look, that's one of the big talks, too, is like, are the Saints going to be what the Saints have been for the last, feels like 2 decades right now? Will they have any of the magic? Because they don't just lose a quarterback. They lose truly the leader, the soul, the backbone of that team. And then meanwhile, you flip completely to the other side of things and you go, Aaron Rodgers has to accept the fact that his ex-girlfriend just got impregnated. He's thinking about that. Let me tell you, I've had an ex-girlfriend that has been impregnated by a guy after me. That messes with your head. It doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are.
Well, I hope for all of us that he can focus a little bit because I expect the Packers to get this win on a somewhat even playing field. We got the nightcap. I know you like this game. We're both local here in LA. A lot of excitement at SoFi Stadium. They're opening up, taking on the Bears at home for Sunday Night Football. Sean McVay, 4-0 in season openers. Do you bet against him in that? I don't think so.
Well, here's the weird thing about this one from the very beginning. The line is strong. I think it's like 8.5.
8.5, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because the Bears defense, last I checked, is still pretty damn good. And you know, keep in mind, yeah, sure, there's a new quarterback playing here in Los Angeles, but that's a quarterback the Bears have seen many times before. So it's new to LA, but not new to Chicago. And in some ways, I kind of find that to be a very, very suspect line right there at 8.5. I look at that. That's like, to me, a 6.5 game top. So I hate to say I like Chicago, but I kind of like Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you could either tease that down to me and put another game with it, but I think everyone's just betting on the Rams. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, you got a new quarterback. You're bringing back a #1 defense, obviously under another defensive coordinator with Raheem Morris. But overall, you know, Sean McVay knows how to win, and he enjoys a mimosa/rosé from time to time. Cheers to that. All right, we got plenty of other matchups to get to, money to be made. So let's get to our power hour. We're going to bring in a few of our friends. Kenny bets big. Katie Mox, welcome and cheers, my friend. I'm excited. For the next 30 minutes, we're basically going to just roll through each game on docket and discuss our takes on each one because we're looking to help everyone out here. For those of us, again, just joining us, thank you for playing with us. It's Pregaming with. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at The Game Day NFL. Katie, I see you not shying away from the fact that you are a 49ers fan.
Diehard 49er faithful here. Super excited about the game today. Obviously, in the pre-show, we were talking about it.
You know better, Kenny? Or are you wise and kind of calm, cool, and collected?
Yeah, in my younger years, I was definitely an emotional bettor. Lost my shirt a few times, had to learn the hard way that that's not a way to be successful. So now I'm definitely very reserved, very calculated. You pretty much use numbers, and that's about it.
All right, well, I'm excited to hear both of your takes. Kevin, we won't listen to your takes. We hope that you stay the degenerate you are. Lots of love to you. Let's start. We got Jets at Carolina. Now, to me, this is the Sam Darnold revenge game. I think it would be very Jets to win this game on the road. Kenny, I'll start with you. I want you to keep your shirt on today.
Yeah, so, you know, I have the green on. It's not for the Jets, I promise you. The Jets are they're talking about, you know, mixing in 5-6 cornerbacks today. The Panthers are loaded at the wide receiver position. I'm expecting a huge game from Sam Darnold today. He's going to light the Jets up. Sam Darnold, don't forget, he was a top 5 pick in the NFL. You know, he was highly coveted out of USC. And unfortunately for him, he went to the dumpster fire of a franchise in the New York Jets. Just didn't work out. I'm expecting a big game from Sam Darnold today.
Either of you expecting, Katie, either of you expecting like this to be a closer matchup where maybe, you know, you don't go with the spread?
I'm taking the Panthers -4. I totally agree with Kenny on this one. Now, the Panthers have lost their last 2 regular season home openers, but like Kenny said, these are the new look Panthers. And I do think that we're going to see a great game from Sam Darnold. You know, he got away from Adam Gase, which, you know, that's where quarterbacks go to die at this point. So, yeah, we got Christian McCaffrey back. I also think that, you know, the receivers on Carolina are a little bit underrated. So definitely locking in that -4.
I looked at a lot of algorithms. I looked at a lot of the history of opening games. I even did some Madden simulations. And what I found after all of this is that the Jets are the Jets.
Yes.
That you cannot bet on the Jets.
You know, I'm glad that you found that research. It's really hard to find that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, time well spent.
This is the expertise we're looking at for you. Appreciate it, bud. All right, Steelers at Buffalo. Look, the Bills don't look like they've gotten any worse. They've gotten a veteran wide receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, to add to, you know, what Josh Allen has to throw to. This is a very, you know, throw the ball and score a lot of points. Although Big Ben, we said it before, he's looking pretty good. But the Bills, they're at home. You got Bills Mafia, Katie.
Yeah, here, look, I'm a big Bills believer. I'm obviously a 49er faithful. That's my number one team. But if I think about who I like to root for, it's definitely the Bills. And I love the Bills Mafia. I love the, falling on tables and all of that stuff. But, the 6 points here, I think that, we're undervaluing the Steelers a little bit. Obviously, they have the edge with the defense. So I can see the Steelers getting this one close. If I had to pick, I might actually take the Steelers +6 in this game. I think the Bills win. Obviously, the money line is too steep. But what I actually like, I'm taking Josh Allen under 29.5 rushing yards. It's at -115. Obviously, we know he's a threat at the goal line, and I expect him to get a rushing touchdown. But again, that Steelers front seven is pretty strong. So my play of the day for that one, I'm taking Josh Allen under his rushing.
Let me ask you,
Kenny, you're a Patriots fan.
Yep.
This line, though, the over-under opened at north of 50 for this game, and it dropped to like 48, I think, 48 and a half. So it moved like 3 points. Any thoughts for people that don't have any rooting interest in either team, but just like, rooting with their wallet, where they go over-under shifted quite a bit under? Is there any reason that the over is a value play here?
Kenny, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think there can definitely be a lot of points scored. One thing I was going to say, I love the Steelers here plus the points. I may even sprinkle them on the money line. I think the Bills we're seeing a lot of prisoner of the moments. I think a lot of people forget last year with COVID, there were a lot of stadiums that were empty. So Josh Allen, for the first 2 years of his career, he was, I don't know if anyone remembers Jalen Ramsey, ripping the Bills for taking Josh Allen. Like he was an embarrassment at quarterback. Last year, he has a great year, no fans in the stands, and everyone thinks he's going to be this big star. I was reading he's the third biggest liability for sports books to win MVP this year. I'm expecting a big step back from the Bills. I still think this is the Patriots division, and I'm not saying that as a fan. I think the Patriots win the division. And yeah, Big Ben, he's healthy. He's on a diet. We've all heard how he's slimmed down. He looks good. The Bills, their strong point on defense is their outside corners. They were ranked top 35, both of them by Pro Football Focus last year. However, their nickel cornerback ranked I think he was like 70th as far as nickel corners go. That's where Juju Smith-Schuster runs the majority of his routes. I'm expecting Big Ben to find Juju today for a lot of passes, a lot of short dump downs, and look for Juju to break a couple, maybe even two big ones. But yeah, give me the Steelers.
All right. Well, to complicate things a little bit, to your point, Kenny, Josh Allen's PFF grade jumped from 64.1 to 90.3 last season. So he's coming. That's why he got paid, but we're trying to get paid too. So that's a tough game for me to even think about, just because I think both teams are, outside of being home field advantage. I don't know how much, maybe the Bills Mafia sets fire to the stadium and then we're like, we can't even play football because they're so wild and excited. Katie, to put a bet on, right?
Well, one, I don't personally bet on the Niners. I've done that once, and the Niners won, but they didn't cover, and then I felt salty. And I never want to feel salty about a Niners win. So I don't bet on the Niners. However, I will say, yeah, on paper, when you look at the Niners team versus the Detroit Lions, you want to hammer this all day long. I think the line has now gone to 9 points. I think it opened up at 7.5. It's been going up and down at 9. That line to me is a little sus. The amount of money that is being poured onto the Niners right now, that's also a little suspect. Everyone and their mother is throwing it in a teaser to try to kind of get that line down, or at least the odds a little bit better. But, if anybody has Jared Goff figured out, it's definitely the Niners, and it's definitely, Kyle Shanahan and that team. So I don't have a whole lot of faith, in the Detroit Lions, but I do think one thing that I liked for this game is actually, I know I said something bad about Jared Goff, but I think he can get 2 passing touchdowns. That's at +155. So, that's a good prop to look at. But yeah, I think the Niners should win, should cover, but the amount of money on the Niners is suspect, and the line keeps going up. So, we saw what happened last Thursday night and how close the Cowboys got. So
my retirement plan is these Jimmy Garoppolo rookie cards.
Yeah, a lot of money in those.
After the game today, I think these will actually be worth something. I've been sitting on them. These are PSA 9. If you want them, reach out to me personally. I'll sell them to you. But more importantly, I'm waiting for this guy to become the quarterback that we all know he will be, consistently and healthy. And I think this day today is going to be a big one. And I was living in the Bay Area when the Niners were off to their 0-9, 0-10 start a few seasons ago. And it looked like it was just desperate. It was the saddest feeling ever.
Yeah.
And so now I know everyone has that week one hope, but of all the teams we're going to talk about, the team that I think like has everything to back up the excitement behind them is the Niners, and I've seen them rebuild firsthand. So, but keep in mind, I'm a mush. So the fact that I just said that means they're going to lose every game this season.
No, look, I mean, we were decimated with injuries last season. You know, that was supposed to be our revenge tour. We're back on the revenge tour again. We've got 2 viable starting quarterbacks. Obviously, I'm a 49ers fan, but yeah, I'm all in on this season. Kenny's about to break my heart.
Said she has 2. They have 2 viable quarterbacks. When you have 2, that means you have none. So looking at this game, you know, he's expecting big things for Jimmy Garoppolo. Unfortunately, I don't think the 49ers are. They went out and got Trey Lance, top 5 pick.
Not true. You
know, Kyle Shanahan is known as a quarterback whisperer. If he didn't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo and he thought Jimmy Garoppolo was the truth, there's no way in hell they're going out and getting Trey Lance. This is just a clear stay away game because like you guys said, the 49ers on paper should beat this team by 2-3 touchdowns easy. Looking at the spread, it is a little suspect. This should be at least double digits. The Lions are the Lions, and they are worse than the Jets. I'm staying away from this one. Unfortunately, if you are going to bet it, you have to take the Lions here.
Boo.
Sorry, Detroit. Jaguars at Houston. Oh,
I feel like we should take it over under on how many times we're going to say sorry Detroit on this show over the season.
every day at least. Yeah.
We may rename the show Sorry Detroit.
Sorry Detroit. Hey, sorry for Houston. You got Tyrod Taylor, who's going to lead the team. Hasn't started a game since last year, week 1, and then his own team punctured his lung. They are adding some running backs to help them, Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram. But it's like the Trevor Lawrence story, right? I mean, there's a Kevin and there's a Kenny, and I'm drinking way too much
Katie
in this. And a Katie. Why'd you guys do this to me? I'm Sandra half the time. Kenny, how do you feel about this game? Because I feel like with a new quarterback, we haven't seen enough of him here. And then you've got a quarterback who has some veteran experience, but he hasn't started a game in quite a while.
Looking at this game, I feel like I'm driving up the Jersey Turnpike and looking at all the dumpsters and landfills. Yep. This is a absolute dumpster fire of a game. It's probably the only game that the Jaguars will be favored in until they play the Texans again this year. I don't know. If you're betting this game, you have problems because there's no way you should be betting on either of these football teams.
Couldn't agree more.
If I had to bet gun to my head, I would probably go Texans. First year head coaches with their new teams last year, week 1 were 1-5 overall. So I would fade the new head coach. Let's fade the rookie quarterback. Let's go Texans. Tyrod Taylor's not a scrub.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I wouldn't touch this game with like a 10-foot pole. Both of these teams are completely unreliable. There's just nothing that you could say that's going to happen, you know? So I would stay away from this game as well. If I had to, I might lean on the over though, because I feel like, you know, these quarterbacks might put up some points.
How would either of these teams do against like a Pop Warner team? What would you say right now? You think they could beat a Pop Warner squad?
Depends on the Pop Warner squad. You know, some of those Friday night pikes are.
The Texans versus Bishop Sycamore. Who do you guys got?
Yeah, who do you have in that one?
Bishop Sycamore. Yeah, I think Bishop Sycamore could take them maybe.
Sorry, Lions.
Sorry, Detroit.
Hey, the Seahawks, they're heading to Indy, taking on the Colts. Russell Wilson, with all the chatter this offseason, he seems happy now. All those offseason rumors that he wants to trade or whatever, maybe that was a Sierra problem. They got a new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, coming from the Rams. To me, I don't know how you put anything on Wentz to end this Indy team because he's had this nagging foot injury. He said even recently this week, it's still sore. He can move. He's mobile. They have no restrictions on him, but I don't want a quarterback heading into a game with a sore foot. Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz is it's crazy this guy's even in the league at this point. The Colts on paper do have a great team. I know a lot of fantasy guys are huge on Jonathan Taylor this year. The Colts defense is very legit. They played great at home last year. This is a tough one because looking at it, I want to bet the Seahawks really bad. Like Russell Wilson is top 3 quarterback in the league. But looking at the numbers, like the numbers say to take the Colts here, and I can't do that.
The Seahawks defense is questionable, to be quite honest. So if you have Carson Wentz, who can be mobile, I don't know, Kevin, I'm sure you've heard on that Costco line all the rumors about how this game could go.
Well, listen, I love when people talk about preseason injuries, going into the season with an injury. I almost feel like it's when you're about to take off and the pilot will say like, it's going to be a bumpy flight today. And then when the flight ends up being smooth, you think you have like the world's greatest pilot flying your plane. I think that sometimes they say that they've got these nagging injuries. I think they're oftentimes overplaying them because if things go badly, they have kind of a built-in excuse. When things go well, they're like, wow, can you believe it? The guy wasn't even 100%. And he had a nice rating in the game. So keep in mind, whatever the chatter of injury, unless it's coming from even the team doctor stuff, I don't necessarily buy into. I don't think that I don't know what the HIPAA rules are. I don't know if they're allowed to embellish and stuff. But I would imagine that, and Kenny, you could probably speak to this better than I could, but I would imagine there's a lot of creative liberties taken with injuries as they pertain to the players.
No, yeah, of course. And, look at my team alone, the Patriots, they're famous for, hiding the injuries, not really putting out what the true injury reports are. So, yeah, definitely. Because why would you come out and say that Carson Wentz's foot still hurts a couple days before when he's about to take on a Seahawks team? Those are things you almost wouldn't leak right before a game. Not to mention 70% of the tickets and over 75% of the handle are on the Seahawks to cover the spread. And the line is dropping. It was at 3.5, depending where you looked earlier in the week. Now it's sitting at 2.5. Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this Colts team. Carson Wentz has a ton to prove. Obviously we saw what happened to him in Philadelphia. You never want to see that happen to anyone, especially how much promise he looked like he had early in his career. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks on this game. I would lean Colts if I had to bet it.
Yeah, when you talk about the money, that is a little bit concerning. But when you look at the quarterback matchups, it's hard to pick Carson Wentz over Russell Wilson. I also think Russell Wilson's going to be on a mission this year. They have a new offensive coordinator. Everything that we've seen or we've heard outside of training camp and preseason is that the offense is a lot faster now. They've got some incredible receivers on that team. Obviously, like you said, the Colts defense is legit. They got DeForest Buckner. Very sad for me as a Niner fan to have him go there. But I'm still going to take Russell Wilson. I know that the money is heavy on the Seahawks side, but I can't take Carson Wentz.
Also, I love betting over-unders. I'm like a huge fan of it because it doesn't matter which teams are playing. Even the dumpster fire games we've talked about, you can be really in them. I usually hate betting unders because you spend the entire time just watching the clock. I spend the entire time just looking at the clock tick away. In this game, though, I find it interesting because opened another one that was north of 50, 52, I believe, and now it's somewhere in the high 40s, 48, which means public is loving I guess the over, right? Because they keep moving the line. They're trying to even that out. So how do you feel? Will there be points in this one to look forward to? Points of plenty, or is it going to be feast or famine?
I hope for points of plenty on this one. I think that's always fun. I think a lot of people had the under in the Cowboys versus the Bucks game, and look at that one went well over. And so, yes, I think the Colts defense is legit. So's the Bucks defense. So I would like to lean over on that one just for fun.
And real quick to touch on that, for anyone listening at home, that's one of those lines where you kind of want to, let's say you like the under in this game. It opened at, what'd you say, 52.5, right, Kevin?
Yeah, 52.5.
Now it's at 48.5. That's a 4-point swing. And when you're talking football, like that 52 number is big because how many times do you see a 28-24 game? So, yeah, you're on the wrong side of the line movement now if you want to bet the under. So looking at it, 80% of the money on the under makes sense why the line dropped. I would stay away from it, though. Now, if you're getting the line now.
We're going to stick in the NFC West. Katie, I'm looking at you because you know it best. Cardinals at Titans. You got King Henry. You got A.J. Brown. Their defense, to me, is some question marks. This could be a high-scoring game. Although Kyler Murray, not necessarily the best teammate. I've heard he's got questions, but I guess Cliff has to win some games. He has to pay for that beautiful house he showed off during the draft. So, to me, the Cardinals are on a hot seat. When you talk about the NFC West, you're clearly thinking these are the top 4 teams. And somehow the Cardinals are always like, oh, yeah, they're in the NFC West too. Because they just talk about Niners, Seahawks, and Rams. Yeah. But the Titans look really good, although their defense questionable. And that's where maybe Kyler Murray can get this win.
Yeah, I definitely think that the secondary for sure for the Titans is questionable. I also think, like you said, there's a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray and the coach in order to have a big year. I mean, I think his job is definitely on the line. If we just look at the trends here, though, the Cardinals always start kind of hot, and then Tennessee is always a little bit slower to start. Cardinals have covered their first 2 games in the last 5 seasons. And then Tennessee, again, always slow to start. They failed to cover the first 2 to 3 games in the last couple of seasons. So for that reason, I'm going Cardinals +3.
Cardinals are like college students in Arizona. They always start very hot, and then they
yeah, exactly. Then they start partying, and it goes down.
Yeah, I'm on Cardinals here. The Cardinals +3, +3.5 is actually one of the bets that I'm taking today.
Okay.
For anyone that forgets, last year the Cardinals were one of the top teams in the league before Kyler Murray got that injury. Kyler Murray, one of the most explosive players in the NFL. He has DeAndre Hopkins. They have James Connors. They got J.J. Watt. The defense should take it a step up. The offense should take a step up. Kyler Murray another year. Cliff Kingsbury another year as a head coach. And, for anyone that doesn't know, Cliff Kingsbury, as a road underdog and an underdog, is phenomenal against the spread. So I like the +3 here. I think the Titans have a ton of hype on them this year coming into the year. Which is deservedly so. They looked great last year. They pick up Julio Jones, which seems almost unfair. But yeah, I like the Cardinals here +3. They may not win, but I think they can cover the 3, and so buy the hook up to 3.5.
Even with Julio Jones and the Titans and that pretty stout offense, Kenny, you're gonna go with the Cards here.
Yeah, for sure. Public all over the Titans, obviously.
Yeah.
That we mentioned, they're a sexy team this year. A lot of people think they're going to make it far into the playoffs, potentially a Super Bowl pick. But yeah, I'm big on the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals as a team, a little bit more complete. And I like Kyler Murray as a quarterback more than Ryan Tannehill.
People just hating on Ryan Tannehill. I got to tell you, I'm a Kyler Murray mobile quarterback. So we got Chargers at Washington. Chargers pretty much have everything new coaches. They're bringing back one of the rookie Justin Herbert, who had an impressive rookie season. Questionable offensive line. They seem to have fixed some of those questions, but obviously Washington's defense is good. Kevin, you're an LA guy. You like Chargers over this? They're taking a long trip to the East Coast.
Listen, I'm an LA guy now, but I grew up in DC, so I'm a DC guy in my DNA. And as a result, I love Washington. I love everything about Washington other than the owner. If they want to have a new offensive team name, they should just call their team the Washington Daniel Schneiders. That would be the offensive team they come up with. This is a weird one to me because just like Katie, I try to avoid betting on Washington because sometimes when you lose, it stings twice as bad, actually about 10 times as bad. And when you win, it feels good, but it's still, you can't really enjoy the game so much because you're thinking about the money. This one is weird because I think the Chargers started out as favorites. I think they were 2-point favorites at the beginning. It has now shifted where the former Skins, see, it's hard to get that out of your system. The Washington Football Club, now 2-point favorites. So go think about that for a second.
Yeah, I like the under in this game. I think it's at 44 or 45. And look, I mean, the under is a perfect 6-0 in the last 6 regular season games for Washington football team. It's also a perfect 6-0 in the past 6 games for September for the Chargers. So I'm kind of leaning on the under in this one.
Yeah, so Washington is by far my favorite bet this week. I'm betting the house on it. This is 25.
Whoa, Kenny bet big.
Yeah, I've been saying this for weeks. I actually got Washington at +1 before the line started moving. Listen, Chargers new head coach. I've already said new head coaches were 1-5.
throw down those $2. Let's get it.
Yeah, he puts them on Washington. He's getting back more than $2. I've already said new head coaches were 1-5 straight up last year. The only head coach that was new that won last year was Ron Rivera for the Washington football team. I think this defense, top 5 unit in the league. Chase Young, by far, he's one of my picks for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to have an amazing season. And then everyone's talking about but they have Ryan Fitzpatrick. People forget that this team made the playoffs last year with the worst ranking at the quarterback position. Ryan Fitzpatrick was the 15th overall quarterback last season. So you're going from a dead last in the position to middle of the pack. That's a huge upgrade. The offense has talent all over the field with Antonio Gibson, and those are Scary Terry and Logan Thomas. So, yeah, give me the Washington football team heavy here. I love them. And, yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
He's going with the beard. He's going with the beard. I dig it, Kenny. Vikings, Bengals. Justin Jefferson, to me, is a game changer here when you're talking about the Vikings exploded as the rookie, considered to be the top playmakers in 2021, my opinion. But this is an emotional situation. Joe Burrow's back. I assume people just want to see this kid play and play well after coming off of that injury. Katie, you're shaking your head. Who do you got in this game?
I'm taking the Vikings -3 here. I love Joe Burrow, but, you know, he's coming back from a big injury. He's even said himself the mental portion of it is a little bit slower to kind of uptick here. And they didn't do anything to protect him. I mean, that O-line is still so questionable. I'm still afraid for Joe Burrow's life. They did add some weapons for him. Of course, it's going to be exciting to see him, you know, with his former LSU #1 target. But at the same time, that just leads to them getting doubled up, you know, double teamed a lot. So I'm going to take the Vikings here.
I love home dogs. Whatever happened to home dogs on opening day? Everyone loves a good home dog. Cincy is at home, 2.5, I think. Home dog. And on top of everything else, listen, when you have something to prove, you know, it's so funny, the teams that like the public turns on so quickly. I think every fan of every team right now, at this point in the season, which is, you know, hours before kickoff, feels like maybe this is the year we win the Super Bowl. Every single fan of a team feels that way right now.
Except for Detroit.
Except for Detroit.
Except for Detroit. I'm sorry, Detroit. But I do feel like this is one of those games where one of the teams today, everyone's gonna say that's a Super Bowl contender, and the other team are gonna go, well, let's start playing for draft pick.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, I would think the Vikings are going to look like the Super Bowl contender here, and the Bengals are going to be playing for the draft pick.
Yeah.
You know, Katie already talked about the Bengals, one of the worst offensive lines according to Pro Football Focus last year. The Vikings, one of the best defensive units. Last year, they weren't as great. They had a couple guys sit out due to COVID. They get back Daniel Hunter this year, one of the best edge rushers in the whole NFL. So, yeah, I'm expecting a very long day for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then I saw the Game Day just posted something the other day. Did you guys see who's the receiver the Bengals drafted? Jamar Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see the guy was talking about how he's having trouble catching an NFL football because the laces are different? That's never a good sign.
He's had a tough preseason. Yeah.
It's a mortifying thing to admit.
Those laces, they get you.
You guys are buying into the hype. You're buying into the hype. This is all set up right here. All right?
Kevin, so you're all in. You're all in on the Bengals today.
Next week, I can't wait.
Putting those $2 down? You're going to put those $2 on the Bengals?
I already spent those $2 this week. But next week, I'm going to tell you, when we all gather around, the first thing I will accept is apologies from the group about the Bengals. Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, you're on
what jersey you got behind you there? Is that a Bengals jersey?
That is a Boeheim's Army. That's your champions of the TBT, going old school.
Again, never bet on Syracuse. I wouldn't bet on the Bengals. I mean, look, this is going to be a sloppy game, in my opinion. And the Vikings, they have enough offensive talent to get it done. I believe they can cover the spread, home or not home. Sorry, Kevin. Just keep drinking that sippy cup there. We're moving on.
I'm going to quote the comments that are popping in right now on the live that say, Klein is 100% incorrect. What an idiot. So I think that guy knows exactly what I'm saying. Question from the fans, though, because obviously we're interacting. We're doing this thing live right now. You can always leave questions, comments below. This is a question. Who is going to block Hunter on the edge, and how are the Bengals going to stop the Vikings offense? You've talked about that a little bit, but that's a legitimate question from someone who's paying attention to us and watching our first show, by the way. You guys are in on the ground floor. This is like getting Amazon stock at 12 cents. So thank you for being with us.
And, you know, that's a great question, though, because looking back to last season, the Bengals I'm almost positive they were dead last in the NFL as far as allowing rushing yards per game. And don't forget Dalvin Cook's on the other side of that football. So Dalvin Cook could have a long afternoon, could eat a couple touchdowns for those fantasy guys, DFS. Throw him in your lineup because he could have a big day.
The great point from the fan. I just don't think, I think the Vikings really just are too strong offensively. It's not a game. I'm sorry, Kevin. So we're going to have to find you a I Love Joe Burrow t-shirt or something like that.
I've already spoken to my looper from the future, and they've told me that I'm right, and we'll talk about this next week. And I can't wait to bask in the glory. I can't wait. Kenny's going to be known as Kenny No Stacks next week. When I all that.
All right, we got Eagles. Oh, we love Eagles fans at Falcons. We're in Atlanta. Both new head coaches. So, Kenny, to your point on how this goes, Nick Sirianni in Philly, Arthur Smith in Atlanta. The Falcons, they lost Julio Jones, but they picked up Tyler Pitts in fourth overall. Although usually new tight ends they got to get into a groove yet. They don't really perform well. There are expectations that he will help this offense, but the Eagles are kind of putting their whole bets on Jalen Hurts to be the guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking at this one, I think this game screams the over.
Yep.
That 48.5 right now. As far as a side, I honestly couldn't pick one here because there's a lot of question marks around both. I'm huge on Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the real deal. I'm expecting him to have a great season. But, Matt Ryan, veteran quarterback, he still has Ridley. They draft Kyle Pitts. We saw what he did when he had a good tight end with Tony Gonzalez. So, it's still the Falcons, though. And for whatever reason, they just can't win games. Luckily for my Patriots, they can't hold leads. They choke every single game away. So, yeah, I would stay away, but I do like the over a lot. I think both teams could combine for a shootout.
I totally agree with Kenny. I mean, this game totally screams the over. These are two former offensive coordinators turned into head coaches. They both used their first round draft picks on getting some top tier, receivers or catchers. And obviously Kyle Pitts, super excited to see how he does. And scoring has never been the problem for the Falcons. That's not why they've lost games. So to have it be 48.5, that just seems suspiciously low to me.
I know that you don't care what my take is, but I'll give it to you anyway, because whenever birds battle, I love a good battle of the birds. And
Angry birds.
I love angry birds battling it out. I love dome teams and domes. There's just certain things I like. They scream points to me, and this is where we agree. And I say, yes, when birds are battling, points will be aplenty. So I love the over this one. Got it in early. I think it's moved a little bit, but I'm very excited about it. And it's south of 50. I could see this game putting up 60-plus points easily.
We're going Matty Ice. The Falcons loaded with talent, so we're going that route. All right. Should I just shut up, Kenny, and let you take Patriots? Are they getting this game? Are you emotional here? You feel good about your Patriots against Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins?
I'm a little worried because the Dolphins defense is the real deal. However, I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is going to translate into a good NFL quarterback. For whatever reason that is, I don't think he is going to get it done. Bill Belichick, I know Tua is not a rookie, but he's still kind of a rookie. Bill Belichick.
Just screen grab that. That's the promo next week.
Yeah. Let's screen grab that so he can apologize next week.
Exactly. We'll have a sorry Detroit, sorry Kevin, sorry Kenny.
I'm big on Mac Jones this year. I think he should be the favorite for Rookie of the Year. I think this is how the Rookie of the Year race is going to come down to one of the quarterbacks, whichever one can get their team to the playoffs or closest to the playoffs. Looking at the quarterbacks that are available, I don't think the Bears make the playoffs. The 49ers, if they do, Trey Lance could. If they do make that switch, he's a good option. But I think Mac Jones is the real deal. I think with, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, the running backs, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels in the back pocket, best head coach in all of football history. It's a no-brainer. Give me the Patriots here at home, coming off a terrible season. The first year the Patriots didn't win the division, you're going to tell me Bill Belichick has not been waiting for this game? Bill Belichick is the king of petty when it comes to it. Give me the Patriots for the crib. Don't look back. Fire on it and thank me next week.
Well, it's funny you even mentioned in any of that, any sort of quarterback controversy, any sort of quarterback not being on the team anymore that, was dropped in the past few weeks. When you hear the word release in New England, you think Robert Kraft is back in a massage parlor. But the announcement that they are releasing, who was, I think everyone thought was going to be the starting quarterback this year, right? I mean, wasn't that the plan up until 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
But
obviously, I think.
Sorry, not to cut you off, Kate. I just want to say this. I think, you talked about it before with the injuries, and I mentioned how the Patriots are notorious for doing things like where they just keep things in the dark. I think Bill Belichick knew damn well when they drafted Mac Jones round 1, he was going to be the starting quarterback week 1. I just think they let that little soap opera drag on, so the Dolphins didn't know who to prepare for. If they released Cam Newton 2 months ago, the Dolphins have months to prepare for Mac Jones. I think I don't think the books have this line right. Patriots should be a bigger favorite here. I think they win this one going away.
Even with Brian Flores and that defense, huh?
Yeah, well, Miami is also tied for the second best cover rate in the division. They're 8-4 against the spread since hiring Flores. And, to your point, it's like as soon as they announced that Mac Jones was the starter, Better started hammering the Patriots here. And so the line moved up from 3 to 3.5. So I'm kind of tempted to fade the line movement there a little bit. But Kenny obviously makes a lot of good points there. So I'm staying away from this game.
Well, I go back to my point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you could bet against Bill Belichick.
Championships because Washington have.
All right, calm down. Doug Williams had a great season.
But, if you're trying to be smart with your money and save a couple bucks like Kevin here, this game to me is very unpredictable. I don't know how you would bet on this, to be quiet. I would stay away from it personally. A game that I do find very intriguing, Cleveland Browns in KC. Let's go. Playoff battle here. I can see this game being very high scoring. The Chiefs have to play from behind at any point. They've got a good chance of pulling this off and confusing us all. Katie?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the total here is high. It's 54.5. I still like the over on this one. We've got 2 gunslingers and a lot of good offensive weapons here. Andy Reid, of course, 39-22 in the first half of the season while coaching for Kansas City. The over is 6-0 in the past 6 years, starting game September for the Chiefs. So I like the over here. I actually like the Browns a lot this year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. They look great towards the end of last season. We've got Odell Beckham Jr. back in the mix. Hopefully he and Baker Mayfield can really find their rhythm. So I have high hopes for the Browns, certainly in their division. I do think that the Chiefs are out for blood a little bit, obviously being embarrassed in the Super Bowl like that. They got to come out and get a big win, but I'm on the over in this one, even though it's a pretty high total.
I promise you, if you're in an eliminator right now, 90% of the people in your eliminator have the Chiefs because everyone
for sure.
thinks that is the team that is going to win. I believe they're supposed to win every single game this season, except maybe a Ravens matchup happening in Baltimore. I love the Browns, guys. This has an eliminator buster written all over it, where everyone goes, I can't believe it. Also, let's just get real life for a second. Mahomes, great quarterback, sure. New dad. He's got a little one running around, like a new baby. You're not sleeping with a new baby. And I'm not saying champions cannot perform with that sort of sleep deprivation. But as someone who spends a lot of my free time cleaning baby poop out of my iPhone and stepping on Cheerios, I can tell you, I am not performing at my best right now, which I can already tell by the comments you agree.
Kenny muted himself.
Yeah, no, I'm not muted. I was just listening. I like the Browns here. The one thing that does worry me, I mean, the line has dropped. I liked them when they were +6. The line has dropped. It's now at 5. A lot of money on the Browns here. The money's pretty split. It's 50-50. You never like to see underdogs have that much type of 50% or more of the handle on them. It's never a good mix. But real quick, I pulled up this stat here. Over the past 21 seasons, the team who lost the Super Bowl is 4-17 against the spread week 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. The Browns, they have the AFC Championship revenge factor on their side. There's just a lot of hype around them. I don't know if Baker Mayfield is what we saw last year, or was that like a one-off, like fluke type of deal. I feel like Odell Beckham every single year coming into the season, he's the most hyped up player. Everyone's talking. Odell's going to bounce back and he's going to, go back to what we saw his rookie year. And every single year the guy gets hurt and never pans out. So I don't know. This is a tough game. I like the Browns if I had to pick.
This seems unpredictable, in my opinion. The Browns, they're like this trendy pick. People are like, oh, yeah, Mayfield, you're in cool commercials. Apparently, he's cleaning poop out of his iPhone. I didn't know how that got there. But that could also mean he just saw Josh Allen get a huge contract and he's due. So he's like, yo, I got to pay for baby diapers. And apparently those things are expensive. So even though it's a trendy pick, you could kind of see, much like the Jets getting a win on the road, you could kind of almost see this being such a Browns game to win. And that's where I think it's too uncomfortable for me to really, put a bet on the other one. Although the Chiefs would seem like the smart, safe bet.
Also, you got to keep in mind, the general public, and I represent the general public, they have not accepted the fact that the Browns are actually a good team now, because for all of our lives, the Browns have been a joke. Everyone, you think of Browns, you think of fans in the stands wearing paper bags on their face. That is the image that most people have. So, and the Chiefs, obviously, great PR campaign behind them, but everyone knows that that's an explosive team. Are they the best team in football? The discussions that go on and on. So, general public, I think, an average person who doesn't put a lot of bets in just thinks to themselves, the Browns are not even favored by, are not even underdogs by over a touchdown against the Chiefs. No, it's the Chiefs all day. A lot of the dumb money is heading towards Cleveland. And I know that because I am an expert.
You put it there.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
just put the $2 you lost.
And again, I mentioned it earlier, though, the one thing we don't know around Baker Mayfield is how we saw them, light it up. Like last year, for example, the Browns made the playoffs. The Patriots missed it. What's a common theme? COVID, right? Last year, NFL season was the first season where road teams won more games than home teams. And it was COVID, so people can say like, oh, no fans don't make a difference, but trust me, they make a difference.
Fans make a huge difference.
Baker Mayfield going into Arrowhead, Chiefs environment, like that place is going to be electric. So I don't know, it's a sketchy bet for sure. The right bet is the Browns, but it's a scary one because Mahomes could light them up.
Kenny, to your point, this is an interesting game then. Packers versus Saints. They're playing in Jacksonville. It's an outdoor stadium. The Saints, they play in a dome. So is it a possible advantage for Green Bay, even though it's way warmer weather than Green Bay could ever experience? There's really no home field advantage in this situation. And I would think the Packers are a better overall team. Katie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times, the narrative is, and what we've seen, even dating back to Olympics, is when there's ever some kind of natural disaster, that team comes out really strong and plays for their city and ends up winning against all odds. I'm still going to take the Packers here, though, minus the 3.5, I think is where it's at right now. I just think that Aaron Rodgers is on a mission this year. It's the last dance, and he's really petty. And petty Aaron Rodgers is someone scary, and he's never been pettier than he is right now. And I still think the Saints have a lot of question marks with them, certainly at quarterback. So I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
Katie mentioned
you're going to get State Farm Aaron Rodgers. You're going to get Jeopardy Aaron Rodgers, or you're going to get Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
I think we're getting Aaron Rodgers who doesn't speak to his parents. I think that's the level of pettiness we're going.
That's the proof.
Kenny?
Yeah, this is a tough one. The Saints, they picked the location. They picked it based on it was the most expensive out of the 3 locations they could choose from. It was the most expensive for Packers fans to get to and hotels.
Oh.
So, I think they put a lot into it. Jameis Winston, a lot of hype around him this year. This is a tough one because the line is screaming the Saints here, like absolutely screaming. You have to bet the Saints. But like, how do you go against Aaron Rodgers and that Packers team coming off, how their season ended last year, right? Like Aaron Rodgers didn't want to kick that field goal, and because they they missed a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers, like Katie said, is on a mission this year. Him and Devontae Adams, their last season together. I don't want to bet against that Packers team with this Saints team. Like if Packers were playing the Bucs or someone, I would hammer the Bucs here. But versus this lowly Saints team, I'll pass.
Yeah, and the thing is with Aaron Rodgers and all the Jeopardy things going on the side, like that was a management thing. And, his play, like the guys love this guy. And to play in Jacksonville, to me, this is Aaron trying to come back. He's angry, and then he's going to start, hosting Jeopardy after the season when he's got a an extra ring on his finger. By the way, thank you for joining Pregaming with. That's Kevin Klein, Katie Mox, and Kenny Betts Big. We'll be here every Sunday getting you ready for a large slate of NFL games. We've got about under 10 minutes left. We got a couple games to go. We're going Broncos in New York City. Well, it's actually Jersey. Very confusing as a New Yorker, but we'll go with it. To me, Kenny, I'll start with you. This is a perfect game where you're going to bet the under. You got two defensive-minded teams. The Giants' offense has turnover issues. It's clear how Denver's offense will look in this first real game. It's not clear. Not to mention they're on the road. This is a low-scoring affair because both teams, they've got good defense, but you got Teddy Bridgewater on one end, and you've got, a guy who doesn't seem to take care of the ball well at all, in Jones.
Yeah, anyone that followed me the last football season knows I am a big Teddy Bridgewater fan when it comes to betting. The guy, I call him Teddy Covers. He, for whatever reason, just seems to cover every single spread. I think he's like 21-3 or 21-4 against the spread for his career. So yeah, I would go Broncos here. They're the better team. They have the defense is legit. Teddy Bridgewater is no slouch at quarterback. They have Jerry Jeudy. I think the offense is pretty talented. I'm not going to say it's a great offense, but I think they have more pieces than people give them credit for.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and agree. I mean, yesterday when I was looking at it, I was kind of hopeful for the Giants and the plus money there and, being home dogs, like you said. But yeah, I didn't realize that stat about Teddy Bridgewater. If he's a cover machine like that, we know Danny Dimes is not. So.
But Katie, you just made the point about teams that are playing after tragedy, teams that are playing after, for their city, right? The pride of the city. I mean, here we are a day after the 20th anniversary of 9/11. You've got New York at home. I mean, that there is something about the Giants playing in New York that makes me feel.
Saquon's back.
On this day of all the days where there's an extra heaviness. I would say that if there was going to be a time, and I hate this as a guy who grew up a Washington fan, it pains me to even say this. I say the Giants getting the win.
You don't think maybe with all that though it adds more pressure to Daniel Jones?
Yeah, but I mean it's New York football. It's how much more pressure can you put on them? I mean it's like
at
this point they're just used to it. It's like the second they get there, it's just a vice of just constant pressure, constantly. So.
Teddy Bridgewater, 5th highest completion percentage in 2020. And I just looked this up. Teddy Bridgewater is 35-13-1 against the spread as a starter. To Kenny's point, Von Miller's back after an ankle injury. This, to me, is, I don't know. Again, poor Kevin here with his solo cup being solo.
That's right. I'm the odd man out. Hey, I want to remind you guys that at the Broncos Giants, Ride with Ashley is another show you can get right here. And she's going to be at the game. So look for the video that'll be coming out later this week and look for her at the game. And if you see her there, buy her a churro or something like that. She would probably appreciate that.
Buy her a beer. She wants a beer.
What's a beer? Get her a beer.
What's a beer? So take a sip of it. All right. We're wrapping up here. This was good. Bears at Rams, Sunday Night Football. The Rams, they're pretty. They got a pretty coach who uses way too much hair gel. They got a pretty number 99, one of the best defensive players to ever walk. And they got Jalen Ramsey in the backfield. On the other end, they've got two quarterbacks. This is another situation. But do we go with the ginger? Because this spread is very high. Kenny?
Yeah, the spread is very high, but rightfully so. The Rams with Matt Stafford and Sean McVay should light the NFL up this year. We saw what the Rams have done with Jared Goff, and Jared Goff is probably a little better than I am at quarterback. So,
a little bit.
Sorry, Lions.
Sorry, Detroit.
Sorry, Detroit. Right? Like they're in shambles. They just lost Stafford for Jared Goff, so that's never a good thing. The defense is. I mean, they have the pieces to be the top defense in the NFL. Their early preseason, they're my favorite pick to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I know it's kind of like seems like a chalk pick because I think a lot of people are on the Rams this year, but the team is just oozing with talent everywhere. Sean McVay, probably the best offensive-minded coach in the whole NFL. So, yeah, give me the Rams here. I think they should light the Bears up today. I don't think this one's going to be very close.
They're going to cover it, Katie?
I like the under in this game. These are two defensive minded teams that, both of these teams hit the under like crazy in 2020. Their last head to head matchup was Sunday Night Football, and they were 10 points under the projected total. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think that and obviously Andy Dalton, the only thing going for him is that this home opener isn't in Chicago, so we won't hear as many boos. That's the only thing on his side. Otherwise, I think he's just going to, I have no hopes for Andy Dalton, but I have hopes for these defenses, so I like the under.
It's a sunny day in Southern California, and I'll tell you what doesn't mesh well with red hair: sun. So I'm just watch out, Ginger. It is going to be a bright one, even at the evening game. So not only do you have to compete against, of course, the Rams, you have to compete against the sun. So good luck with that.
And plus, we already know what Andy Dalton does in primetime games. Like, the guy crumbles he folds like a cheap suit, So yeah, the Rams should win that game by 10 plus, easy.
That's my eliminator pick this week, just so you know. I've got the Rams in my eliminator. I consider that to be a lock of a win if there is such a thing in this league, and I love it, even though I've got to sweat it out all day because you got to wait for the night game. But okay, it is what it is.
Okay, I'll go round robin real quick for any final thoughts. Maybe a game that really stands out to you on maybe a prop bet or something that we should be looking forward to as the day progresses. We're just about an hour before kickoff for the first Sunday week 1 slate. Kenny?
Washington. I told you guys, don't overthink it. Sometimes the biggest mistake that I see a lot of bettors do is they bet too many games. If you're confident in something and you're super high on let's say one particular game, just bet that one game rather than betting 5 games. Because what ends up happening is you hit the one you really like, then you end up losing the others. And now instead of being up money on a game that you thought was a surefire lock, now you're down. So that's the biggest mistake I see people make. They get too excited. They start doing parlay here, parlay there. Just keep it concise, neat, and stay disciplined.
Kevin, do you feel okay with that? Like, from Washington?
Yeah, I like what he's saying. I'd love to disagree, but when he says Washington's going to win, I go with Washington. I'm going to tell you right now, my lock right now is Cowboys and the over from last Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
From last Thursday. I feel strong about that. And if you can figure out maybe a bookie that just got out of a coma and Kent doesn't know what happened, put in that bet immediately if you can.
What a good tip. Thank you for sharing that one. I mean, I'm looking at that Steelers and Bills game. Obviously, again, I'm a big Bills believer, and I don't think that, people are necessarily overhyping up the Bills offense, but we really have to take into consider, the defense on the Steelers side. So I like Josh Allen under the 29.5 rushing yards. I don't think he's going to rush a lot today.
Okay. Well, there you have it. This has been fun. Guys, you enjoy yourself?
Look at
silence. There it is. Silence.
I'm getting all my empties together.